over and study. Big Jeff in the house. The night brew in the house. And the case of the eyes of the day is in the house. 2000.
And yes, y'all, you and I have put to the side of the legendary foundation. Stop what you're doing and set it in motion. It's the next movement. You listen and stop what you're doing and set it in motion. It's the next. We got the ha-ha music, the hot music, the ha-ha music, hot music, the ha-ha music, the hot music, the ha-ha music, hot music. Yo, 2 that's how we usually start. Once again, it's the thought, the Dalai Lama of the mic, the Prime Minister thought. This directed to whoever and listening frames. You're the whole state of things in the world about to change. Black rain falling from the sky looks strange. The ghetto was red hot, we stepping on flame. Yo, it's inflation on the price for fame, and it was all the same. But then the antidote came. The black thought and the syllabus out the fifth. This heavyweight rap shit I'm about to live like a father lift up his seed to sunlight. I plug in the mic, draw like a gunfight. I never use a cordless or stand reportless. Sipping chlorophyll out of ill silver gauntlets. I'm like a faucet, monopolies the object. There ain't no way to cut this tap. You got to get wet. Your head's throbbing and I ain't said shit yet. The roots prove the next move, man. Come on. Touch this. Yeah, you gon' pay you listen and stop what you're doing and set it in motion. It's the next movement. You listen and stop what you're doing and set it in motion. It's the next move. We got the ha-ha music, the hot music, the ha-ha music, hot music, the ha-ha music, the hot music, the ha-ha music, hot music. Word up, the formation of words to fit. That's what I usually disturb you with. A lot of rappers never heard of this, or know half the time it is. You got the elephant, what could you accomplish? Whether they skywriting your name or you anonymous, you be speechless for staying sinuses. The roots royal highnesses through your monitors. I tilt my crown, then go down and down my kiss. You need to buy a CD and stop rewinding this. I'm the finalist, shine like a rugged amethyst. And at your music conference, I'm the panelist. Listen close to my poetry, I examine this like an analyst to see if you can handle it. Check it out. You got the groove, MCs, freeze, stand still. Nobody move unless you're dealing with the next move, man. The big 5 degrees I'm on you, man. I live my life nice, but I'm not you, man. You theatrical level, 4-way paid. This ain't rent, 100% straight out the basement. Spreading this across the planet on some next shit. How many people feeling this love music? Stop what you're doing and set it in motion. It's the next movement. You listen and stop what you're doing and set it in motion. It's the next move. We got the hot music, 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 yeah, check it out, 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 it's like, yeah.
Attention, the mysterious force is loose somewhere in outer space.
The mysteries of creation are there.
Up in the sky? Up in the sky.
The moon and the planets are there, and new hopes for knowledge and peace are there. And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most
blasting life through this hell for what it's worth. Look, listen, and observe, and watch another sea cypher pulling my peeps to the curb. Heed the words, it's like ghetto-style proverbs. The righteous pay a sacrifice to get what they deserve. Cannot afford to be confined to a cell. Brainwaves swell, turning the desert to a well. Experience the best teacher. Thoughts will spray like street sweepers. Little daddy street preacher, illustrious feature. Narrator you select, accompanied by deck, plus the DJ you respect. The 7.5 combined over the front line. The 10%ers promoting slander in their airtime. Bear in mind, jewels be the tools of the trade. Sharp blades, heavenly praise, and dues are paid. Above the crowds, above the clouds, where the sounds are original. Infinite skills create miracles. Warrior spiritual. Above the clouds, raining down, holding it down.
Yeah, I leave scientists mentally scarred. Triple extra large, wild like rock stars who smash guitars. Poison bars from the guards, bust holes in your mirage. Catch a charge, shake them down like the riot squad. Invade the zone, ruin like ancient Rome. I span the universe and return to earth to claim my throne. The maker, owner, plus soul controller. Ayatollah, rest in the sky, the clouds my sofa. Stare like Colossus, regardless to whom or what. Numerous attempts in my life, so who to trust? Who but us? To supply her with the fire, the burning truth. 150 absolute proof on the mic like Moses spoke in Golden Scribe. Survivor of the oldest tribe whose soldiers died. I know the 5 families, we shed tears and more. But our hands are on the ammo cause the battle's still on. Sound the horn. We come rumbling through the function. Precise laser beam technique to touch something. When we die hard, they build a monument to honor us with. Humongous effect in the world, we could have conquered it.
Above the crowds, above the clouds, where the sounds are original. Infinite skills create miracles. Warrior spiritual. Above the clouds, raining down, holding it down. Above the clouds, where the sounds are original. Infinite skills create miracles. Warrior spiritual. Above the clouds, raining down, holding it down.
Yeah, move your body inside the party. About to bring it to you, kid, like we never ever did. My nigga Al-G in it, my nigga Shaheed in it. We got the girl Christine in it. Got my man Big G in it. Hey yo, inside the ghetto or in a sunny meadow, I'ma make you move, whether woman or fellow. Yo, I got the medals in the war field of respect. Like an ill porno, make your body get wet. Just a ghetto child trying to live a straight and narrow, hoping that my shit'll pierce your dome like an arrow. I'm sure it will, especially if it's God's will. MCs, be ready to die, cause I'ma kill all your negative feelings standing on 2 feet. While I make the hotties move to the hip-hop beat. You know what's really killer? Realer than you can imagine. Using every source of pain in my range to make it happen. If I make it happen, that means I'm making more shit. And I'm doing my thing, causing an ill commotion. Everybody do the hop, make it smooth like lotion. I lay up in the piece on the incognition. You gotta do the hop. You move to the beat, you don't stop. Now everybody here, you do the hop. You're going up to cop, uptown for a break, don't stop. You got to come back and do the hop. Yo, fuck the cop. You got to come back and do the hop. Move till your body won't stop. You got to do the hop. Non-stop motion, non-stop. You got to come back and do the.
You see you? Your career is done like Johnny Carson's. Get me vexed, I do like left out, started arson. Now that I got that out my system, watch me stab up the track as if my name was O.J. Simpson. I pack some in like Van Halen. I work for mine. You freeloading like Kato Kalin. I'm representing with my crew. Mess around, bite my rounds, I beat that ass with my shoe. Come on, you know I'm crazy nice. Brothers can't deal with the shorty named Fife. You must be mad in the head. I bust his ass and leave him blood clot for dead. Niggas sound like DOS effects. If it ain't DOS effects, then they sounding like meth. You might as well do Megadeth. Y'all punk MCs better save your freaking breath. Use a corny motherfucker. You must be high smoking dust with Chris Tucker. Your asses don't want this. I put more beeps than the beeps at the premiere of Pocahontas. Word is one, I am the baddest. And all you honeys out there, word is one, you know my status. So come and pull your panties down. This ain't the wanna barely show I don't get down with the clowns. So why don't you and your friends get with me and my friends? But don't bring your ass by and you ain't got no end. Word is born, it don't stop. Stop, seize your mind, come along and do the hop. Stop. Stop. It's the hottest thing.
You got to do the hop. You move to the beat, you don't stop. Come on, everybody, do the hop. Even if you cop, you got to come back and do the hop. You move to the beat, you don't stop. You smoking jump rocks, you got to just stop, do the hop. When you come back, you do the hop. You know we don't stop. We on the ghetto prize on the top. You know we come back, we do the hop. The shorties in the place, all the shorty rocks do the hop. You got to come back and do the hop. We never go pop. You know we come back, we do the hop. This is how it is, we do the hop. You move to the beat, you come on, everybody, don't.
Man, I'm saying, man, yo, niggas on the real, we can't be doing this shit every fucking weekend.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I found it. I want you to meet the baddest motherfucker in town.
Right on. Go ahead.
Who is it? Well, it's Grand Pooba, honey. With my man Stud Doogie Love. Dropping 2000. Dig the way this go down. Check it. I hit a flow off, dipped in low, sit back and sip mo as I count my dough. Grand Pooba Maxwell, Doogie, coming with the New York. We keep it real like jail when we might talk. Honeys know cause when I'm in a set, Grand Pooba is the one who makes they stink box wet. So let me tell you something, lady, when you flow this flow, then it's all creaming, baby. I made this one for the brothers in the party to find a hearty and dance body to body. Step 1, first you grab honey by the waist. Step 2, then you move out of ghetto face. Step 3, then you look a dead in the face. Step 4, now it's time to leave this place. Hold up, be careful of the cheesers, the teasers, the one who wants the money and the visas. I'ma tell honey straight off the back, but please don't even go there with that. Dig it. This was designed to make the spine in your back whine. Grand Pooba, nice setup for you every time.
My name is Rev Grace, and I want to welcome you to this sacred remembering of Matthew Alexander Williams. If you look at this card that's in the back of the church, you see this beautiful picture of Matthew, and you see this "Love is the answer" on the left, and "We're all gonna die" on the right. And really, those two things sum it up as, like, I think, the best teaching for our lives that you can imagine. Love is the answer, and we're all gonna die. So that's the context, really, for this reading by Pema Chodron, which she's a Buddhist nun. And she writes in this beautiful book called When Things Fall Apart. And so, Matthew reminds us of this same exact thing that Pema Chodron is talking about in this reading. She says, life is a good teacher and a good friend. Things are always in transition if we could only realize it. Nothing ever sums itself up in the way that we like to dream about. to stay with that shakiness, to stay with a broken heart, with a rumbling stomach, with the feeling of hopelessness and wanting to get revenge, that is the path of true awakening. Sticking with the uncertainty. Getting the knack of relaxing in the midst of chaos and learning not to panic. This is the spiritual path. She goes on to say that death in everyday life could also be defined as experiencing all the things that we don't want. Death and hopelessness provide proper motivation for living an insightful and compassionate life. But most of the time, warding off death is our biggest motivation. Relaxing with the present moment, relaxing with hopelessness, relaxing with death, and not resisting the fact that things end, that things pass, that things have no lasting substance, that everything is changing all the time. And that is the basic message. And that is the journey of the spiritual warrior. I invite you now to take a look at the screens for this beautiful video.
Refugee camp, conspiracy theory, why? Yeah, why? You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. At long last, love has arrived, and I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. Caught in the way that I stare, there's nothing else to compare. The sight of you leaves me weak. There are no words left to speak. But if you feel like I feel, please let me know that it's real. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. I need you, baby. If it's quite alright, I need you, baby, to warm the lonely night. I love you, baby. Trust in me when I say, okay, it's okay. Oh, pretty baby, don't let me down, I pray. Oh, pretty baby, now that I found you, stay and let me love you. Oh, baby, let me love you. Oh, baby. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You'd be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. At long last, love has arrived, and I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. I need you, baby, and if it's quite alright, I need you, baby, to warm the lonely nights. I love you, baby. Trust in me when I say it's okay. Oh, pretty baby, don't let me down, I pray. Oh, pretty baby, now that I found you, stay and let me love you. Oh, baby, let me love you. Oh, baby, I need you, baby. If it's quite alright, I
So, I typed a text to a girl I used to see, saying that I chose this cutie pie with whom I wanna be. And I apologize if this message gets you down. Then I CC'd every girl that I'd CC round town. And hate to see y'all frown, but I'd rather see her smiling. Wetness all around me, true, but I'm no island, peninsula maybe. Makes no sense, I know crazy. Give up all this pussy cat that's in my lap, no looking back. Spaceships don't come equipped with rear view mirrors, they dip as quick as they can. The atmosphere is now ripped. I'm so like a pimp, I'm glad it's night. So the light from the sun would not burn me on my bum when I shoot the moon. High jump the broom, like a preemie out the womb. My partner yelling too soon, don't do it, reconsider. Read some litter. Sure on the subject, you sure? Fuck it, you know we got your back like chiropractic. If that bitch do you dirty, we'll wipe her ass out as in detergent. Now hurry, go on to the altar. I know you ain't a pimp, but pimp, remember what I taught you. Keep your heart, 3 stacks. Keep your heart, hey, keep your heart, 3 stacks. Keep your heart, man, these girls are smart. 3 stacks, these girls are smart. Play your part. Play your part.
My bitch a choosy lover, never fuck without a rubber. Never in the sheets like it on top of the cover. Money on the dresser, drive a compressor. Top notch hoes get the most, not the lesser. Trash like the fuck for $40 in the club. Fucking up the game, bitch, it gets no love. She be cross country, giving all that she got. 1,000 a pop, I'm pulling billions off the lot. I smashed up the gray one, bought me a red. Every time we hit the parking lot, we turn head. Some hoes wanna choose, but them bitches too scary. Your bitch chose me, you ain't a pimp, you a fairy.
Baby, you been rolling solo, time to get down with the team. The grass is greener on that other side. If you know what I mean, I show you shit you never seen. The 7 wonders of the world. And I can make you the 8th if you wanna be my girl. I say my girl, I don't mean my woman, that ain't my style. Need a real street stalker, walk a green mile. We piling up the paper on the dining room table, cause you able to realize I'm the truth and not a fable. We rockin' Russian sable, keep that chiller on the rack. What I look like with some $1,000 shit up on my back. I'm a $1 million Mac, they need $1 billion bitch. Put my pimpin' in your life, watch your daddy get rich. Easy as ABC, simple as 1, 2, 3. Get down with UGK, Pimp CBU with me. Cause what's a hoe with no pimp, and what's a pimp with no hoes? Don't be a lame, you know the game and how it goes. We try to get Jones.
Takes a little time, so takes a little time. Cause it ages like wine. How does it keep getting better?
At this time, we're going to ask for folks to come up that have been selected by Meredith. And we're going to start with Meredith.
Hello. I was a little bit unsure of what to say today. This is the second memorial that we've had for Matthew. You know, a few weeks have passed since that time. And the way that I now know grief works. I feel completely different today. But I realized when I was thinking about it that I still wanted to hear myself say all of this, and that it would be good for me to say this for me. So, yeah, here we go. I met Matthew when I was 19 years old. We were together for 16 years. I once found a magazine clipping that said, "My husband is a healing force in my life." I put it on a vision board I made but it wasn't an aspiration. By that point, it had already come true. I practice Buddhism, and the two teachings that I contemplate most are from Pema Chodron, who's a part of the Shambhala tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. The two teachings that I contemplate the most are, if death is certain and the time of death is uncertain, what is the most important thing? And separately, that the goal of life is to be able to hold the sorrow of the whole world in our hearts and still remember the Great Eastern Sun. The challenge for me now is that second to my own personal well-being, Matthew was the most important thing in my life. And almost every day of these 16 years, Matthew was also my Great Eastern Sun. So, to say that I feel rudderless is an understatement. I feel like a sailor who has lost their first mate, with a flooded engine and shredded sails and a snagged anchor and fried electronics, who's also had their Windex chopped off of their mast. And all the through holes are probably failing at the same time. So I feel completely and totally lost at sea. And also, I keep remembering what Matthew would have said to me. We're all gonna die. Some of you guys might not know this, but in recent years, Matthew started saying that like all the time. Like I'd have a minor inconvenience and be like stressed out about something, and he'd be like, "But Meredith, we're all gonna die." And I'd be like, I'd be mildly offended because I was like very stressed out about whatever. It felt very important. And he would just look me dead in the eyes and be like, "We're all gonna die." And I'm just like, it would shock me, like this reminder. And, but the way that he said it to me was like so earnest. Yeah. And it helped, eventually it helped. And I learned to appreciate him saying that. So, anyways, here's what I know to be true. There is no sense to make of Matthew's death. There are no comforting words that can take away the pain of this loss. So don't try. You're just going to offend me. And at the same time, I know for sure that I can either accept Matthew's death, fully lean in to whatever I'm experiencing in my grief, or I can spend the rest of my life running from it, clinging to it, and let it slowly kill me, isolate me, and overpower me. What Matthew would say to me now is, "Meredith, this is life. It's fucking random. And it fucking sucks sometimes. Please forgive me. But it's also beautiful. It's incredible. It's amazing. It's full of joy and wonder. He would say to me, yes, this sucks, but what are you going to do about it? So here's what I'm going to do. We are going to celebrate Matthew's life. I want his life and his art and his joy and his laughter to live on in this world for as long as possible. So this actually doesn't as much apply to this crowd, but I'm going to say. So any of you that have his art on your bodies, please celebrate it. Celebrate yourselves. Celebrate your bodies in all of their forms every day. And all of you that know his jokes, keep telling them. I know they're really bad, but that's okay. I'm just going to do it anyways. And all of you that know his stories, because a lot of you in this room do, please keep sharing them. Do this for yourselves, but also do this for me. Do this for me so that I know that he is remembered, so that I know that he is honored as he deserves to be. I want to say this other thing because in New Zealand, when this first happened, I was able to say this to people quite directly, immediately. And I just want to say it now. Please talk about him. Please say his name, okay? I don't know about anyone else, but if you're around me, what I do want you to do is mention him. Because I haven't forgotten. Even if you see me smiling and laughing, I haven't been transported to another universe where this isn't true. You know what I mean? So do me a favor and don't pretend like it didn't happen. I'll get really mad. Okay, yeah. So please honor him how he deserves to be honored. Because when I think about the totality of Matthew's life, and if there's any person in this room that has seen and heard about and talked to about all of it, it's probably me. When I think about that, I know in my heart that it was amazing. Like, it was incredible. And the only thing, and I say this with my deepest soul, the only thing tragic about Matthew's life was the timing of his death. That's the only thing. Okay? So everything else was amazing. Everything else was glorious. So please remember that when you think about him. He's someone to remember fondly. That's my deepest wish. So that's all. Thank you.
Nanette?
See if I can get this adjusted so you can hear me. Some of you know me, some of you do not. I am Meredith's mom, Matthew's mother-in-law, and I want to thank you all for coming and being here to honor Matthew and Meredith together today. It warms my heart to be here and to share with everyone, and I had the pleasure of being in New Zealand with all of their beautiful family there. And at the same time, it breaks my heart to be here for this reason. And I know that we all are sharing in this very deep, deep loss. And I appreciate that for all of you. And I want to honor that for all of us. I don't have to tell you what a unique man Matthew was. And Meredith did such a beautiful job of sharing so much of him. He will always be a bright, bright light for all of us. I believe that with all of my heart. I will open my sharing today with a note from my mother, Meredith's grandmother, and start. She's 89 and she wasn't able to make the trip, but trust me, if she could, she would have been here. In 2017, Meredith and Matthew spent many months living with my mom. And I'll preface this with a little story of how that came to be. When my father suddenly fell gravely ill, Meredith and Matthew were in Nepal on the top of a mountain. And when I contacted her and was able to share that we didn't think my dad was going to make it, and she reached out to Matthew and said, I want to go. I want to try to get there. He didn't question it. And they climbed down off the top of a mountain, and as fast as it was humanly possible to be, they got to my father's bedside. And then when it came that my mother was going to be by herself for the first time in many, many years, and Meredith said to Matthew, I want to stay. Matthew agreed without a question. And then a few months later, when my mother was looking to be at our summer camp for the first time in who knows how many years alone, and Meredith said to Matthew, I want to go. I want to be there for her. Matthew didn't question it. Travel could wait. Sharing time with a beloved grandmother, which I know he did with his own grandmother just as well, was so much more important. So Matthew, Grandma is here with you now, and I'll read this from her and hear from Meredith also. And she wrote, when I think about Matthew, I'm reminded of the familiar metaphor of the seed that is produced in nature, is blown around by the wind until it falls, finds a landing place in fertile ground, and roots itself. As the sapling gains strength from the sun and moist air, it grows into a tree that offers shades and more seeds. The process repeats itself, and seeds replant or provide fruit that is harvested for food. The process is amazing and mysterious. With the help of Mother Nature, the tree becomes the symbol of life. Matthew is like that seed that came into our lives when his presence provided an example for our human growth. Sometimes nature works alone. Some people will say that God does the work. Sometimes help is needed, and that's where Meredith and her friends in the recovery community fit into this story. Matthew used his artistic exaggerations to help us learn what it takes to grow into loving, caring human beings. His logo, or his phrase, "Love is the answer," is clarified by the adage of forgiveness is the purest expression of love. He shared his sense of humor and his gratitude for life with the whole world. They returned the same to him and will pass it on to others. And she closes with this passage from author Alex McLean. Those we love don't go away. They walk beside us every day. Unseen, unheard, but always near, still loved, still missed, and very, very dear. So when I look around the room and I see so much love, it's a testament to Matthew, the way he lived, the way he expressed himself, the way he communicated, the way he showed up for others. I've known Matthew for the 16 years he and my daughter Meredith have been together. From the beginning, I could sense how good they were together. Of course, I was a little bit cautious with my feelings at the time because Meredith didn't have a very good track record with boyfriends at that point. And I would quickly learn that Matthew was different than the other ones. He was a gentleman. He was respectful. He was kind. He was considerate. I still remember the joy on her face when she shared that he had showed up at her work the day after their first date, And it actually was a formal date, something novel in her previous world, complete with him opening the car door and paying the bill. He showed up with flowers that next day at her work. We all know now that this was a sign of the man that Matthew was becoming, the man that she would marry. They stayed committed to recovery. They lived simply, loved deeply. And together they created a love story that most dream of. As a mom, all I ever wanted was for my little girl to be happy, to be loved, and to feel safe in the world. More than anything, I came to understand that Matthew made Meredith feel safe. And from the beautiful social media posts and stories that I see and I read, I know he did that for others, many of you in this room. He did that for you too. This, I believe, is one of his greatest gifts, and that can never be taken away, never. Together, they felt safe enough to bungee jump from a bridge in Costa Rica on their honeymoon, ride hot air balloons in Gong, motorbike through half of rural India, travel to far away and very foreign places, and move to New Zealand, sight unseen. Every step of the way, Matthew shared his capacity to support another human being to be their highest and best self. And I am so very, very grateful that he did that for my little girl. Together, they pursued their dreams, making the move to Auckland so Meredith could get her law degree and so Matthew could become the amazing tattoo artist that we have all witnessed. Underneath the silly dad jokes and the sarcastic wit was a man who spoke the universal language of humility and kindness with respect and love for all. The hope and the courage he passed on to all will always be with us. When I count my blessings, one of the most meaningful is Matthew coming into my daughter's life, and thereby into mine. I will miss his human presence, and I choose to believe he is with us now and forever. May we all learn to live like Matthew. It is my privilege to spread love in his honor.
Drew?
Hi, everyone. I'm glad that the end of the presentation had the video of Matthew in the boat, because that's a very good representation, I think, of how a lot of us will remember him. And I have a quick story. Well, I have a lot of stories, but this was in Boca, probably 10 years ago now. Matthew was helping me do some work in a condo that we were staying in, and at that time he was still a plumber, so I'd have him help me with the plumbing stuff. And we had a small condo. We had gotten lunch, we had gotten pollo, and we were sitting in the bathroom eating, and I look over to him 1 second to the next, and Matthew is sitting on the floor, passed out. And I was pretty freaked out at first. A moment later, he comes to, and he had taken such an aggressive drink of a pineapple icy drink and given himself a severe brain freeze. And it's just, for those of you that know him, it'll make sense. It was one of the funnier things that ever happened between him and I. And no one was there. I thought for a second I was figuring out a plan of like what to do with Matthew. He came too. When I talk to people about Matthew, especially in the last few years when he's been, in New Zealand or traveling, and I try to describe him to people, it's challenging, right? And one of the best ways I think I can describe him is the way he would take pictures of people. He didn't even have to share the same language with them. And he would, getting in somebody's face with a camera it makes a lot of people uncomfortable, right? And he would smile and he would laugh at them and he would disarm them, right? And their discomfort and his spirit, right? And that's not just about, I think photographers probably practice that. Matthew didn't practice. Right? It's just his very nature was that way. And that thing that I'm talking about, or that I'm trying to describe, is like the essence of Matthew. Is no matter what, almost no matter what was going on, right? That he would bring that energy and that common humanity and that connectedness. I think that, at least for me, when Matthew Meredith decided to sell their stuff and travel, it had an impact on me because, and now I realize, and I think as a lot of us get older, we have kids or whatever, we start to realize that Matthew had figured out quite a while ago that if you worship or you care solely about things like money or power or whatever it is that you think you need to pursue, it'll probably end up devouring you. And spending time with the people that we love and that we care about is the most real and true thing that there is. And I think that's really what Matthew did, right? He spent time enjoying the people that he was around. And so when I was, after Matthew passed, I was talking to Meredith, and the one thing I'm not very good at this, right? I'm not very good at talking about this stuff. I'm pretty reserved, and really the main thing I said to Meredith is that I don't really know what to say other than I wish I could have spent more time. And I think that hopefully, at least for me, the takeaway is to focus on spending time with each other, right, and enjoying each other. So I think I do want to celebrate him because he was just, he was remarkable. And I usually use that word to describe Matthew. I just say he was really remarkable. And that doesn't quite do it most of the time, right? So I think that's really all I have. I think that would be the best way that I could describe Matthew and the best way that I would hope to honor him. Right? And most people know exactly what I'm talking about. And I wish, I'm just grateful to have spent the time that I did with him. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Danny?
this is tough to do. Yeah, it's tough. So like, my name is Danny, and I had to write this down because I couldn't come up here and wing this. There was no way. So I met Matthew at a pivotal point in my life. I was either 18 or 19, bouncing around from halfway house to halfway house. Back then, there were not a lot of people close in age trying to get clean. One day I came home and there was this new guy messing around in the kitchen. He was covered in filth and smelled like a sewer. So naturally, I assumed he was there fixing something. I figured we had some sort of plumbing problem. As it turned out, he was our newest resident. Back then, Matthew was not the most approachable character. He was not somebody that would welcome you with a big smile and a joke. In fact, I can recall him looking at me with the same disgust and disdain I was looking at him with. To say we became immediate friends would be a lie. We both just kind of stared at each other, trying to figure out if we were going to be friend or foe. And as it would turn out, over the next 20 years, we would be a little bit of both. Time passed, and we both struggled. Our bottoms got lower, and the risks we took became greater. Thankfully, we never used together, but for what seemed like years, we were on opposite sides of the revolving door. I always used to like to remind Matthew of the time he came home and said he wanted something fire to eat. That was his words, fire. He wanted something fire to eat. I asked him what he had in mind, and he said Chili's. Back then, Chili's was the equivalent of a 5-star restaurant. So we splurged and we got Chili's. And it was one of the best meals we had had in a couple of years, hands down. Some more time went by and we both were constantly in and out of different houses. Around 2005, we had a falling out. Our addictions got worse, our bottoms got worse, and around 07, 08, I heard Matthew was back, and he was in rough shape. He had done some time, and he got stabbed. And from what I understand, he was lucky to be alive. We decided to bury the hatchet, no pun intended. And I gave him back a backpack that I had been holding hostage that I knew he desperately wanted. And in this backpack were just a bunch of fishing photos that he had, I believe, with members of his family fishing. And instead of fighting, we just hugged it out at this church in Davie. This was also around the time that he met you, Meredith, and nobody could have guessed how you would alter the course of this man's life. Pre-Meredith, pre-you, we used to refer to Matthew as Sad Matt. That was his nickname behind his back. If we were trying to describe him, it was Sad Matt. But over the next couple of years, Matthew dug in and became somebody almost unrecognizable from the person I had met in the kitchen back in 03. This is when he became comfortable expressing that unique sense of humor of his. He became somebody that laughed on a regular basis. He became somebody that others wanted to be around and listen to. His most famous quote when speaking, was, "I don't ever want to shit yellow again." And as I continued to struggle with my own demons, Matthew became my hope. He found passion, he understood commitment, he became somebody willing to face tough times that life can bring. This man reaped the rewards of living a good life. Him and Meredith bought a house. I was blown away when they bought an actual house. I did not understand how this guy who could not afford the rent at a halfway house had been able to buy a house. And then together they traveled the world. I would like to think that we had a little something to do with that, since while you were traveling, we were paying reliable, steady, consistent income for 5 years at your place as we rented it. When I think of Matthew, I don't think of the person I met in the kitchen back in '03. I think of his sense of humor. Nobody has ever been as good as Matthew at getting me to crawl out of my skin. He used to love to say the most outrageous things and do the weirdest things in public just to make me uncomfortable. The second I would show that I was uncomfortable, he would start laughing hysterically. It's like an older brother. In perfect form, one of the last text messages Matthew sent me, which was 2 days before he passed, was, "Are you upset with me?" He said this completely out of the blue, and this was most certainly a Matthewism to get me riled up. I did have the opportunity to text him back and tell him how proud I am to see the life he has made. Nevertheless, I will always feel like Matthew got the last laugh, as I will always wonder why he asked me if I was upset with him 2 days before he passed. I know Matthew, wherever he is very proud of this final psychological joke he has been able to play. Well done, buddy. Well done.
Emily?
Hi. I'm Emily, but right now, I'm Dean, okay? So I'm Dean, and although my heart is heavy and full of sadness, I'm grateful for this opportunity to write some words today to hopefully honor Matthew and share with you the impact he had on my life. Matthew was like a big brother to me in a time when I needed a big brother. I met Matthew when I had 30 days clean. I was new to recovery, new to the area, and barely knew how to take care of myself. A few days after, Matthew reached out to me on the phone just to check in on me. He told me later that he didn't really like me when we first met, but he heard me listening to Gang Starr in the bathroom, or in the background, so I was probably okay. Looking back now, I don't know what I appreciate more, the brutal honesty that I came to expect from him, or despite not liking me for no apparent reason, he called anyway. That consideration he showed me by reaching out made me feel comfortable enough to ask him for help. I was gainfully employed both at Target and Crickett's Sandwich Shop, but I asked him if he could help me find a better job. And the next thing I knew, I was a plumber's apprentice. I worked with Matthew directly as his helper, and for the next couple months, I can't even express how grateful I am for that time. I'm not going to share all the memories I have from these months, but I can tell you we both laughed and cried in that truck. The bond we built in that time was a foundation to a really meaningful friendship. Let me tell you, Matthew was a great plumber and a great salesman. But looking back, what I appreciate about Matthew is that he worked hard for what was important to him. I watched him save and budget his money to buy his first home. I watched him become such an asset to the company that when he was able to leave the country and travel around the world while working, I watched him stay involved in his recovery and keep his priorities in order. I got to see his relationship with Meredith and saw what a healthy marriage and friendship looked like. Because he set these examples in his footsteps, I was able to emulate those decisions in my life. So I left Florida a few years later, and Matthew and I stayed in touch. We got to connect again at the World Convention in Orlando in 2018. Matthew was living in New Zealand, and I had just graduated school. I was at somewhat of a crossroads in my life. He told me I should come visit him in New Zealand, and told me about the 1-year visa I could get, and made it sound like it was somewhat of a reasonable thing to do. We also talked about going to India and riding motorcycles in the Himalayas. It all sounded very far-fetched, but a nice thought. Somehow, the next time we talked, I was looking at flights, visa requirements, and packing cubes. I flew to New Zealand in March 2019. Matthew had just moved to Auckland, where he was doing a tattoo apprenticeship. He quit his job once again and followed his dream of doing art on people. I think this was a perfect profession for him. As most of you know, Matthew had a way with people. I think he truly enjoyed meeting with people for his own distorted sense of humor, but his ability to, I think he truly enjoyed messing with people for his own distorted sense of humor, but his ability to do it in a way that made people laugh and feel comfortable was an art form all by itself. He had it in Florida when I first knew him, but after all the traveling and then tattooing, I think he perfected it. I got the privilege of staying with Matthew and Meredith for the first few months in New Zealand and got to witness it firsthand with his clients. For a few months, I found a job at a restaurant where I met a lovely French lady. But then Matthew and I did in fact travel and ride bikes in India. The trip was insane, filled with near-death experiences and the beautiful chaos that is India. But I also got to witness Matthew use his magic wherever we went. He would encounter the grumpiest of strangers and have no doubt they were smiling at Matthew's silliness. His kindness and lightheartedness were truly a pleasure to watch. I decided to go back to New Zealand after that trip. Me and that French lady bought a van and traveled the country. Fast forward a few years, now we're married and have a beautiful baby boy. I can't help but think if Matthew didn't convince me to go, I would never have met her. I can't help but think a lot of the decisions I've made since then have been influenced by him and his way of living. All that being said, I feel like I have Matthew to thank for setting the stage to a truly fantastic life. He encouraged me every step of the way to find what's in my heart and always do that. He was kind, compassionate, ridiculous, and inappropriate. And honest, too honest. He cared for people, all people, even if he didn't like them. I love that man, and I'm sure we're all a little better because of him. Dean would have done that way better. I'm Emily. And I also met Matthew when I was 19. I've known him and Meredith for 11 years now. And while I never lived next door or shared a home group or spent like the day in, day out time with them, every day that I did spend with them was like the adventure of a lifetime. And I am undoubtedly a more interesting person because I knew him. I was literal trash from the Philly suburbs, and then here's this amazing couple talking to me, telling me what to eat, what to order, what to listen to, what art is. He took me to Wynwood and showed me Dal East and Atomic and all these like amazing things. I was just like, and there was never any judgment for not knowing something or not having experienced something. There was just curiosity. Except for that one time I didn't know Outkast. There was a little bit of judgment for that. But he still took the time, made me listen to as many albums as possible, which I enjoy, and in other company will say I found it all on my own. He wanted to share everything with everyone. I could tell he thought the world was amazing, and he wanted everyone to see what he could see. We spent time together in Nepal. I was hesitant to tell this story, but I'm going to tell this story. We spent some time together in Nepal, and we had what I deemed some bad momos. We're at this monastery, and I get sick. And I am a mess. And I cleaned myself up, and I just couldn't shake the shame. You know, I'm just covered in it. I'm looking at these monks, I'm like, they know. And I see Matthew, and I just run to him, and I say, Matthew, something bad happened. He just looked at me and he said, do you want to go for a walk, G? And that was it. He laughed at me, but he didn't judge, and he never mentioned it again. When I think of the days that we spent together, I just think of laughing. I think I hear his laugh, I hear my laugh, I hear Mayor's laugh, sometimes Dean's laugh. I just think, I don't know. I wish I could remember all the jokes. I don't think it matters. It's just the memories, just like my belly hurting, my cheeks hurting, my face wet with tears. Matthew inspired wonder and curiosity in me. He made me feel like anything was possible. If my face expressed interest in an idea, he would tell me to do it. He would say, go see it, go eat it, go dance, whatever. We'll meet you there. From Florida to Texas to Nepal, New Zealand, and Owl's Head, New York, every single moment with Matthew was filled with magic. In my most vulnerable and difficult time, Matthew cried with me, laughed with me, assured me that I was loved and would be okay, and told me the food that I was eating was very spicy, and he was proud of my taste buds. I will miss him dearly, my friend that I am so much better for knowing. I am truly sorry for everyone's loss, and I'm truly sorry to all of those that will never have the opportunity to meet him. I think that's what I'm most sorry about. To laugh with him, to spend that time with him. When Dean called to tell me the news, the first thing I thought of was last summer when Meredith came to visit. He called. He just said, "Hi, G. Take care of my beautiful, beautiful Meredith." And then just hung up the phone and didn't let me say anything. But that's what I plan to do. Thank you so much.
Meredith?
Hi again. This won't be long. I just wanted to thank everyone. So it takes a lot to put on a service like this, and takes even more to put on too. I wanted to thank everyone. Everyone that spoke. It means a lot to me. It means the world to me. So thank you for that. And I also wanted to thank Mason and Emily, who are helping with food. I want to thank Eve, who's helped organize everything with Emily. I want to thank my mom. I want to thank Rich and Mel for just being so supportive, every step of the way. So thank you. Yeah. And also I just wanted to invite you all after this. There's food. If you could please have some food or at least some water before you go, that's really important to me. There's a reason for that I won't explain, but if you can just do that before you go, I'd really appreciate that. And also, now, while we're going to have food, is the time where I'd invite all of you to share your own memories with each other about Matthew. So thank you all.
And so before we close, I just wanted to say a couple of quick things. I don't know if this is true or not, but I think that the last time I saw Meredith was at her wedding, yeah? And I was blessed to officiate that. And when I found out about this tragedy, in my humanness, I can't understand it. Just can't. And there's no words that can comfort. There's nothing that I could say to even explain, why, and this higher power, or whatever it is we believe. It's like, why would you do that? Like, can't you take mean people? Why take someone who tattoos his fingers that say kindness? But I know that it's not for me to question why. It really isn't. It's more like, what is this gift that I can unwrap? And I think that's a true Buddhist kind of philosophy, is like, what is this teaching me? What is this terrible heartbreak teaching me? What is this tragedy teaching me? What is my confusion teaching me, right? And all of that sounds good, and it sounds like spiritual bypassing, and it's like, well, you know what? That still doesn't help me. And I know. I do know that we breathe in and out. We put one foot in front of the other. I know that those of us in recovery understand that sometimes we just have to get with acceptance around something that we just don't get. But the beauty of most of our paths is that we find some relief and comfort in the love that we share and the love that we feel. And this church, this place is packed with people who love not only Meredith and Matthew, but love each other very much. So keep on keeping on. And we're going to close with this prayer. O life that loves us into being, we love you. We love you, life, and we celebrate the gifts that you bring us. The splendor and the terror of the storm, the breathless moment just before dawn, the stunning variety of life, both delicate and strong. We came into being from love, embracing life with passion, living in these bodies, vulnerable and strong. And our hearts and our minds are with all of those whose lives are gone and who has been left behind. For those who fight the hard and endless fight. And may we find the hope and comfort that we need to continue whatever the challenge is, whatever the trials are. And may we find peace in whatever chaos surrounds us. So may it be for all of us. And so it is. Thank you for coming. And so I think at this time, Meredith and Matthew's family and Meredith's family and friends have invited you to the back for a reception.